Welcome back to another episode of BullyBall. Me, Alex, my co-host Joseph. We're finally back on the same schedule together, recording at once. So I know it's been a couple weeks. I'm at work, but I'm still making it happen for everybody. How you doing over there in Florida, Joe?
Doing good, doing good. Glad I'm not at work today.
Alrighty, so today I figured we're gonna cover what happened in training camp this last week. A lot of news, a lot of exciting video highlights. So stay tuned. Let's jump into it.
Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, check up by my ear. Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, I'm about to call the
Alrighty. So as everybody knows, 49ers training camp started last week. These were the unpadded practices. So there's still a lot of news and stuff coming out, which was good. Tomorrow will be the first padded practice, so stay tuned for that because I'm sure that'll be a good one. Um, so I guess let's just jump into it. First things first, let's cover some injury news that happened over the past week. Eric Armstead sprained his MCL, so he's going to be out for I don't know, a couple weeks, couple months, something like that.
Said a couple weeks.
Yeah, he said it was nothing too serious, but still, it's unfortunate to see him go down this early. Uh, but I'm sure he'll be fine once the actual regular season starts. Another injury on that D line, of course, same position, Maurice Hurst. If you go back to watch our previous videos, players, Mo Hurst was my breakout player, which obviously isn't going to happen now because he tore his biceps, which is going to put him out until I saw at least until December, which is very unfortunate because I thought he was going to have a good year this year as a backup. So that's really unfortunate. What are your thoughts on the Mo Hurst injury?
Reports were he was doing pretty good in camp so far too, but it's another one of those guys of the Shanahan era. It's become far too common. It's unfortunate, but like Jerick McKinnon, never really probably played like 5 downs as a 49er in 3 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Mo Hurst, 2 years on the team, not going to play downs. Just it's unfortunate, D Ford, it's unfortunate that a lot of players this tenure have these unlucky injury problems. But, the team has said they're trying to start getting more durable players. But, injuries are still going to happen.
Yeah,
Just like with
exactly.
Armstead. Um, dude I don't think he's missed a game in his career. And
Mm-hmm.
then, pops up with an injury out of nowhere. So that's kind of unfortunate too.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the other who was what's that one guy? The
Hassan
one,
Ridgeway.
yeah, Hassan Ridgeway out for a couple weeks with what happened to him? A knee thing,
So he had a mild quad strain.
quad strain. Yeah, so the 49ers D line is their strong suit on the team. That's 3 players down in the first week of training camp. So that's why we say you never know what's going to happen. A team injuries happen quick. So the D line depth got depleted a little bit. They signed Robert Nick however you
DG.
say his name.
DG, I'm pretty sure.
uh, they they said he looks good in practice so far. He blew up Poe unfortunately for a
Yeah.
sack yesterday. Um, they signed a guy from the Colts. You have his name, but
No, the smaller dude.
another
Yeah.
another D tackle to fill in for now. So hopefully Kinlaw can stay healthy. We still got Givens and Atkins, who was undrafted, but the injuries add up quick, and that's what they're saying. Like Jimmy, is someone's QB gonna get hurt, so we could trade him.
Yeah.
So
You
just something
know,
to be aware of.
good thing about the Mo Hurst, I mean, if there's any positive out of the Mo Hurst injury, was he didn't play last year, so it's not like we were expecting great production from him and relying on that production.
Yeah,
Like as if it was Eric Armstead that tore his biceps, then that's when you're really gonna feel it. if Mo Hurst could have came in this year and been anything, would have been a plus for the Niners. But, I don't think they're going to fill it too much as if it was another player. Another little transactional move that went on was the 49ers finally released Dee Ford. I know you've been calling for this for ages. What are your thoughts on the final release of Dee?
It was a shame because the dude was the perfect 1-2 punch with Bosa because he brought the speed where Bosa brought everything pretty much. Um, in that 2019 year, he was dominant, but the injuries, the man just couldn't stay healthy. And it's like I just said, this tenure is at a ton of those players, just like how the Trent Baalke era was the years of the ACL, but this one's just been a lot of injury prone dudes, and they're clearing them out like they said they were going to. So it's unfortunate. Hope the guy has a good life, gets healthy, but it was time to move on.
Yeah. I felt like when he did play, he had a pretty good impact, especially that 2019 year and with him and Bosa coming off the edge was legit. It's unfortunate to see. Hopefully he gets picked up by another team. He can have some sort of impact for them, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on to let's just go on to the next topic. Another sort of transactional move. A report that came out yesterday or the day before yesterday was that Jimmy G is in talks with the Giants for a trade. That's interesting because they have Daniel Jones. The Giants name really haven't come up this whole offseason as a team that could be a possible suitor. So that's interesting that they come up now this late. Maybe Daniel Jones is struggling or something. What are your thoughts on Jimmy to the Giants?
Well, they have Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor, who has spots started before in the league and done a fairly good job. I like it. I like the fit, for Jimmy going over there. You get Saquon, good back. Uh, you have Kadarius Toney, who's a pretty good wide receiver. I don't know who else they have, if I'm being honest with you.
Kenny Golladay.
Oh, they have Kenny Golladay now. I mean, it's not the best fit. Like, if you watched the pod last week, we said the Dolphins perfect fit for him. But hey, if they want him, they want him. You take what you could get at this point.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna make. He is not gonna be the one that makes them make the playoffs. I'll tell you that. But hey, go ahead. Please. And do it if they want it.
Please. Another thing on Jimmy, which I know me and you kind of discussed when we saw it. Let's show the people what's going on with Jimmy. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Showing up to 49ers training camp on the side field, running where all the fans can see him, and he's running on the sidelines.
Yeah, so supposedly they have Jimmy there doing his throwing regimen, his physical therapy before the team gets there for the day. And then he's supposed to leave when the team gets there and starts practicing. And I'm telling you, this had to be his agent. His damn agent told him, hey, stay out there and go out there when all the fans are out there. Start cause some commotion. Because the team did not want him out there right now. And this comes after day 2 of 49er practice where Trey Lance did terrible. They said he was less than 50% completion percentage, threw an interception. And then the next day you see Jimmy out there running. That's straight leverage agent move right there. Fans supposedly went wild for him. It's exactly what you don't want right now.
Yeah, I agree. Disrespectful. That's probably one of the worst things for the team, in my opinion, that could happen because, like you said, it was after day 2. Trey has been kind of struggling, throwing a few picks here and there. So, and then to see Jimmy out there on the field running while everybody's practicing, like, come on, what is that? Like, you can't be doing that. They're already allowing you to do your rehab at the facility with the team being there, you know what I mean? And then now you go out to the public, out to the practice field when all the fans are out there and you do this. Like, no, you can't let that happen. That. It's just a fail in leadership. You cannot allow that to happen, in my opinion.
And it's already a politic game. The fan base and the locker room supposedly are divided already on who they want, and then you do that. That just intensifies it to the max. They got to ship them out, cut them, do whatever you got to do. Can't have this happening any longer.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. One final thing to finish off the Jimmy little saga that happened this week. When the 49ers part ways with Jimmy G, they'll go from 31st in salary cap space at $5.1 million all the way up to second with $30.6 million. That was from Rob Louder. So that's going to be a good move. It's going to give us a lot more money to re-sign our players, and also cap space that'll move into next year for free agents. So that'll be good too. You have anything else on the Jimmy G situation?
Nope. It's time to move on. Let's get the deal done.
Yeah.
Get that transaction done, just like how the Deebo deal should be done this weekend, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah.
So
we'll touch on Trey Lance eventually. I think that'll be our last segment of this one. But so we'll move on to the next part. Move on to the O-line, which has been interesting. A lot of players going in and out of that starting lineup. To start it off, it's saying that Mike McGlinchey, when he came back, had several holds on Nick Bosa when trying to pass protect against him. So good to go. We're getting the same old Mike McGlinchey back on that offensive line, holding people. That's the only way he can hold up in the pass, bro. So
hey, that ain't fair. Bosa gets held by everybody.
Okay.
He just don't get called.
But is Mike McGlinchey a good fucking pass protector?
He can be. He could be decent.
Oh, my God. Let me pull up the receipts from our group message, and we'll see what's actually going on.
Mike McGlinchey gets blown up sometimes, but he's better than everything we've had when he hasn't been out there.
So. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I will agree with that. They also said that the first team O-line looking shaky, that Trey Lance is under constant duress, which I kind of expected. We didn't really address the offensive line that much. But, like we said, Mike McGlinchey coming back off injury. The whole three interior O-linemen are in flux right now. You don't know who's going to start where, who's playing what. Trent Williams is going to be Trent Williams, the best player in the NFL, in my opinion. But all those other spots are up and down. What are your thoughts on the O-line?
Yeah, there were some early on in the week. There were some reports saying Aaron Banks looked like the best O-lineman. Obviously, Trent Williams wasn't there early on, which is a good sign because you need him. He's stepping in for a Pro Bowler, so you want him to be at least decent. It's looking like Brunskill's going to win that center job. Pads haven't come on yet, but he seems to be getting the majority of the center snaps, which I am okay with because he's serviceable. Not very good at guard, in my opinion, but at center, that's fine. Spencer Burford, the rookie at right guard, I heard he's the weak link right now, which obvious rookie, but man, it's rough. Trey Lance has looked rough most of the days. Obviously, we have one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. But with that being said, the reports out of camp have been, hey, this man has no time. Like he's got pressure in his face immediately. And obviously pads aren't on, so O-line's at a big disadvantage. But we know it's going to be the weak point of the team. And with the the pass rushers that are in the NFC West, it's gonna be we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a little rough for a little while.
Yeah. So, like Joseph said, Spencer Burford has been taking all the first team reps at right guard, even with Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey back in there. It hasn't been seen that Brunskill, who's been at center, like Joseph said, or Jalen Moore, who's been playing mainly tackle, has even played at right guard. So, I mean, we'll see what happens when the pads come on. But right now, it's looking like Burford's going to be starting at right guard for now. So the starting O-line right now, to kind of sum it all up, is Trent Williams, left tackle, Aaron Banks, left guard, center, Dan Brunskill, right guard, Burford, and then right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. So as you can see, according to reports and everything, the right side's going to be pretty weak compared to the left side, in my opinion, because like you said, Banks has been one of the better offensive linemen in training camp so far. And I expect that to continue through when pads come on, because he was a mauler. You know, that's what his knock was on him, was that he was so big that he's like slow. He doesn't move very well. So I would assume with pads, at least in pass protection, he does pretty good. So the right side's going to be a cause for concern again, as it was last year as well.
And the year before.
Yeah. So hopefully they can step it up and give Trey Lance some time, because a bad offensive line with an unexperienced quarterback is going to lead to disasters. No matter how good your team is, bad offensive line, unexperienced quarterback, disaster. At least Trey Lance is mobile and can move around a bit, but still you don't want him moving crazy, you know, always just rolling out of the pocket and everything. So that's another thing. Do you hear that sound, or is that me?
What sound?
Oh, it must be mine. All right. Moving. So before we get off the offensive line, I wanted to pull up this tweet real quick. We kind of mentioned it earlier. Let me pull it up here. Which is interesting.
And if you're on the channel, go check out our shorts. We have posted a couple short videos from our dad that was at training camp. You know,
Yes.
one of Trey, one of Kinlaw, and one of Deebo.
So here is Dan Brunskill doing snaps with Trey Lance in the shotgun. So that's kind of showing you that we're preparing for Brunskill to take over that center position. Right now, Brendel and Brunskill seem to be the two front runners for the spot. They're in a position battle for it. You know, the snaps look good. I mean, obviously there's nobody on them, nobody in front of them, but the snaps look good. They're in a good spot. So that's going to be something to watch throughout training camp. Be curious to see who's going to end up winning that position. Key position, too, is according to the reports that the center calls a lot of the pass protections and stuff for the 49ers in their system. So I think, two vets, battle it out, best one wins.
Yeah.
You have any other thoughts on the offensive line?
No, but we could go over, the offense as a whole. They've been struggling during training camp. And I think, that's bound to happen. Offense obviously takes a lot longer to get going. But it's more, I would say, like a compliment on the defense. And we'll jump into the defense a little later. But I did want to say that yesterday, the last day of unpadded practice in the first week of training camp, that it seemed that they finally were able to settle down a little bit. Well, the first team. And supposedly the Ayuk and Trey Lance connection was hitting yesterday. There's a clip up on the 49ers page, 50-yard bomb.
No, I got that. Give me a second. I'll pull it up.
Over Charvarius Ward, who's been outstanding. And it's just a dot right in the right place. But supposedly there was 2 other catches on the day, like a 25 and a 20-yarder between them two. And that's what we said. Hey, that connection's going to be lethal. Yeah, and it's look at how light of a flick that is, and then it flies 50 yards. Perfect ball placement.
I mean, the catch and the throw is just crazy. Like Ayuk to go up and get that over Charvarius Ward, and because he had to get up there, Like,
yeah, and that's a top 10 cornerback in the league, if you ask me.
And Jimmy Ward right there, one of the most underrated players in the NFL. So to fit it in that little window on that sideline is impressive. That's the potential that Trey has. I thought it was interesting the way he threw this ball. Kind of like how the ball comes out of his hand before he even goes through like the follow-up and everything, the follow-through.
Yeah, to me it kind of looked like it slipped out a little bit, to be honest, like right there.
Yeah.
Or like sidearm kind of, I don't know. I'm not a QB coach.
Yeah. I thought it came out probably a little bit early. Maybe that's why I was a little wobbly. I know Trey Lance is kind of known for the wobbly passes. But still, that play, that's a great play by Trey Lance and Ayuk. And, I think that just shows the potential for the both of them, They've been having that rapport, supposedly, and I think that's showing that it's paying off, definitely.
And it's great to have Trey Lance struggle now because hey, you're playing this defense is going to harass teams. And you're getting to see that now. Once you step on the field with a different team, it might not be that bad. And you're going to be like, hey, all right, I can work through my progressions easy now because I've been getting harassed all off season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Speaking, just before we get off of Brandon Ayuk, here's another play between Trey and Ayuk. This one is Ayuk mainly making the catch, contested. This is from the SF Niners. This is Sudfeld actually throwing the ball. It's kind of hard to see what's going on, but Ayuk gets rocked by Odom, but still comes down with the catch. Boom. He's getting rocked and still made that catch. So the reports have been that Ayuk's coming out this year. He's having a breakout year. I know that's what they were saying last year, but this year,
we've been saying it earlier on in the pods. We knew Trey and Ayuk had that connection. It was just once he started starting.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting once Deebo's in the mix how the ball is going to get spread around because, he hasn't really had time to work with Deebo yet.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Deebo, he was at training camp. He's reported and everything. Here's a quick clip of him and Shanahan talking together, which is encouraging to see him out there. He's been sprinting on the side field, kind of running a couple routes at a low speed, making sure he's not going to get injured, of course. But it's good to see him out there. Good signs. Supposedly that we're battling through negotiations with him, trying to get it knocked out. So hopefully we hear some news on it soon.
Yeah, and there's this one video of the dude running a sprint on the sideline, and he looks like Chris Johnson out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how it looks so sped up or what, but he's moving. And people are saying he looks overweight or something, but hey, I've seen that dude training all off season. That dude is not overweight. He's in the perfect shape.
I feel like they say that every off season when he comes in, they're always like, "Oh, he's overweight. He's overweight."
He's just a thick build. He's always been, and that's just how he's built. Yeah, but that video of him sprinting on the sideline, I was like, God damn, this dude looked fast as hell.
So Shanahan had this to say about the talks with Deebo. He said, Deebo and I talk a lot. We're good and we understand our role. I know there's a lot of noise for 5 months and tweets, and a lot of people are repeating what someone said, repeating and repeating and repeating. There's a lot of negotiations going on. There's a lot of money involved. It's a big business deal, but besides everything else, we're good. So,
and
it's good to see.
DK Metcalf signed this week. So
Yeah.
Deebo has the same agent as DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, and I believe Terry McLaurin, right? I
Yeah,
know the
think so.
first two, but I think Terry as well. All of them have signed. So Deebo is the last one. It'll be interesting to see what the deal works out to be, but I expect it to be somewhere similar to those ones.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy thing I heard this past week is, did you know DK Metcalf, when he finishes this contract, this 3-year contract, he'll be Deebo's age now.
Yeah,
That's insane to me.
because I think Deebo and Terry McLaurin both came out when they were like juniors or seniors, because
Seniors,
Deebo
they
was
were
at the
Senior
Senior
Bowl.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and DK came out maybe sophomore, freshman, redshirt
Yeah.
sophomore. So yeah, that's kind of crazy when you think about it, because by the time Deebo gets done with his next deal, he'll at least be 29, 30.
Yeah, so
So
he's gonna want more money now because he don't have as much time.
yeah, exactly. So one last thing to touch on the offense for me was that deep ball that we showed, that 60-yard pass to Ayuk. That was the last play to finish off team drills yesterday. Right before that, Trey Lance threw a pick. I think it was to Fred Warner, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is encouraging to me, because he still had that confidence. I know it's just practice and everything, no pads. But it's encouraging to me that a young, unexperienced quarterback like Trey Lance still has the confidence even after, throwing a pick, having a turnover. Still has the confidence to go right back out there and air it out. You know what I mean? He still has that confidence to air it out even after the pick that he threw. So that's encouraging to me. And I know after day 2 when he struggled, somebody asked him, they're like, what do you expect about your struggles or something to that, like asking him about how he struggled. And he was like, I'm not too worried about the struggles. We're only in day 3 of training camp, so we have a lot of stuff to work on. The thing that I'm worried about most is how we bounce back. And that's super encouraging to me from a young quarterback, 22 years old, to have that type of like leadership and that amount of accountability for him and his teammates. Those are things you love to see. I love seeing that stuff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I find it pretty interesting. It's going to be interesting to me how Kyle runs the offense this year, because as we know, the past couple years with Jimmy, the dude can't throw outside the numbers. So literally the whole offense is based on throwing tight passes over the middle. And that is where Trey Lance has struggled all training camp so far. Every time it's a tight pass over the middle, he kind of misses, a linebacker or a safety underneath or something. And those are where the interceptions are coming. They're not coming on the deep stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if the offense does change a little bit, where it's like air the ball out, because he kind of isn't seeing the middle of the field as well as Jimmy did. But that's the difference in quarterback, and it comes with the experience. So keep making those mistakes now, but it'll also be interesting to see if when game day comes around, the game plan changes a little bit from what it was in the past.
And right now, you figure he's also struggling a little bit because you're in no pads. So as a defense, you're expecting the ball to be thrown. You know what I mean? And in training camp and practice, they tell you throw the ball. Like no matter what, throw the ball. You remember last year, Fred Warner and some of the defensive guys were getting frustrated because Trey wasn't throwing it. He was holding it because he didn't want to make a pick or something like this. So I think that's another reason to not be too concerned about the interceptions. Obviously, they're not good, but I don't think it's like, oh shit, Jimmy G threw 5 picks in practice like that one year. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like that.
But Nate Sudfeld over here throwing hella picks. That dude threw 3 picks yesterday.
What are your thoughts on Trey's comments about bouncing back and being resilient?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be fine. If you think back to I was talking to Dad. I think it might have been on the last pod or it was just on the phone. Um, if you think back to that Arizona game, right, where Trey has to come in and start, Arizona was the best team in the NFL at that moment. They were the last undefeated team. Nobody was getting close to beating them. And then you got the rookie has to come in and play him. And if you think about it, that first drive, he's marching down the field on him. And then, you remember the play. He steps up in the pocket, throws it a little high. If it was down 2 feet, that's probably you're going for a touchdown and take the lead on them. But, he throws the interception, throws it high. Comes back a couple drives later, marches straight down to the goal line. And then it's 4th and goal on the inch line. And then he boots out, gets hit right on the goal line, turnover. Think if he scored there, the perception would have been so different if tiny little things in that game had changed. And, he never let it affect his confidence. And we lost, I think, by 2 touchdowns, maybe 3 that game.
I think maybe 2. I don't think it was anything too crazy.
But if tiny little things had changed, he was right in there with the best team in the league at the moment. And that's when we sucked. So yeah. I think he's going to be just fine. He has the confidence. And that was as a rookie with no playing time. So thinking to how much he's grown to now, the kid's going to be fine.
Yeah. Before we move on completely to the defense, because I'll kind of let you take the reins. I have a few things on the defense, but I'll let you kind of take the reins on the defense. Richard Sherman's been praising them this last week, saying that they're going to be one of the best in the NFL this year, like that the secondary is going to be probably the best. And he also had this to say about Trey Lance. He said he's going against arguably the best defense in football, and defense is always ahead of offense initially, which makes sense, because as a defense, you just kind of got to know your plays, your role in the coverage, and that's really all you need to do. To our offense, you guys need to work together as a team. Your offensive line needs to work together as a unit. Your receivers need to work together as a unit, and then your quarterback's working with everybody. So you need a lot more cohesion, chemistry, in my opinion, on the offensive side than the defense. And so like Richard Sherman said, the defense is going to look a lot better initially than the offense, but the offense should pick up to meet the defense's potential and the way they're playing as well, hopefully.
Yeah, Richard Sherman's been talking a lot about the 49ers defensive backfield. He played with Emmanuel Mosley and Jimmy Ward, so he knows the guys pretty well.
Shoot, don't forget about Dante Johnson.
Yeah, and good old Dante, who actually was starting at slot yesterday. So just another thing to note.
So that's, guess we'll jump into the defense stuff that I have real quick. Darquez Dennard, did he get hurt or was he just out? I saw something that he didn't practice yesterday for some reason.
I don't know. I didn't see.
I don't know I don't think he was hurt. I think he might have just had a day off, like a maintenance day or something. But Dante Johnson, this is from Matt Barrows. Dante Johnson took a lot of nickel corner snaps with the first team unit. The 49ers used Johnson on an as-needed basis at corner, free safety, nickel corner, and his use today may be related to monitoring regular nickel corner Darquez Dennard snaps. So, there's Dante Johnson being Mr. Versatile as always, which is crazy because, I remember Joseph and I hating Dante Johnson. This dude sucks. He needs to be off the team. And then last year, he just comes in and he just, saves us. He's just playing nickel, free safety, outside, and he's, doing decent, where he's not, a liability, which is crazy. So I love seeing that, He's been on the team for a long time, coming in with the Chip Kelly, Jim Tom Sula years. So it's good to see that he's still hanging around and making an impact.
Yeah, he made a good career for himself, sticking around. So, yeah, let's jump into the defense. So we spoke about the D-line. the best position group on the 49ers by far. And we spoke about how, hey, you got 3 dudes gone down quick on the interior, and pads ain't even on yet. But with that being said, um, some of the bright spots is Kinlaw has looked, lean. I mean, he's massive, but a lean massive. He's looked quick. You like what you're seeing with him. You have Bosa, who looks like a bodybuilder out there, but he also is fast, fast and versatile. We saw him doing a drill against Kamiko Toure, and it was the circle drill where they run around, touch like a beanbag, flip their hips, run back the other way, flip their hips again, and then go like fake sack a quarterback. And this dude is just the smoothest looking, like it was insane. You got to see the video. The dude's just looks like he's ready for a 20 sack season. Heard he's been dominating everybody, which he does anyways. But I think this year is going to be, he's going to be challenging for that sack record this year. A bunch of the other guys we haven't heard much of at training camp, the edge rushers. Haven't heard much about Ebukam, Jordan Willis, Omenahue. Haven't heard much from those guys. But one thing that I have of note is Drake Jackson. Nobody's really been posting about him. But you'll see if you read articles from practice this day, the dude has a sack every single day of practice. And he's blowing by people. And I think he might be one of the underrated, guys coming out once the season starts. Supposedly he's got the pass rush moves. He leaned out. Have you heard anything about Drake Jackson?
Not really. I haven't done too much research into the notes and stuff, but that's good because I know me and you said that we were concerned when he came into minicamp and he was like fat.
Yeah, supposedly he's looking really good, underrated out there right now. And that's good because, as we said, D Ford's gone and we have a lot of good pass rushers opposite of Bosa, but you need a good number 2 that's going to be able to take some pressure off because Bosa's getting double teamed every play. So the other guy's going to be one-on-one. You need them to be able to win. And so that's a good sign. We'll see what happens once the pads come on. But with that being said, the interior D-line with these injuries, it's going to be interesting this year because if you remember last year, we didn't give up a bunch of rushing yards as a defense, but there were games late in the season where we would get gashed up the middle. Like late in the season, there was a couple times we would just get ripped. And we need a strong interior D-line this year. So we'll see what happens with that. Linebacker core, obviously, everyone's saying Fred Warner looks back to that all-pro level. Have you heard anything about the other guys, Aziz or Dre?
Not much, but I did want to share this little tidbit from Fred Warner talking about Brandon Ayuk. I think it just goes to show what type of player Fred Warner is and what type of leader he is for this team. It's just on a different level. Let me pull it up here. Let me see.
Is that getting everybody ready? You said the other.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the reporter asking him about Brandon Ayuk and saying how Brandon Ayuk said Fred Warner was like annoying.
That you were really annoying on the field. Is there a certain level of pride in that though? And because during a game, obviously there's going to be trash talking. Is that getting everybody ready?
Yeah, that's funny. I think specifically with Brandon, I chose him out. I specifically said, and I'll say why. I think he's ready to make that next step into playing at an elite level, right? And ever since he's gotten here in the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten after him a little bit, going around the locker room and around the building, because I know how much he has in him, And I know if I nag him a little bit, he's going to start getting sick and tired of that. And he's starting to, kind of hold his own. And so I like what I see out of BA. He works super hard, and he's starting to really gain that mindset of knowing that he's the guy and he's capable. And I'm just trying to get the best out of him. That's it.
You said the other day.
That's super encouraging to me as a leader. It's great to see that you have somebody like that in your locker room that's going after these young guys and trying to make them the best player that they could possibly be. So it's I like seeing that. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that's definitely what you want to see from your leader, forcing and bringing the team up. You see the potential, get after them. Because there's a ton of people in this league with potential, but not everyone gets to that level. So it's nice to see Fred doing that. And it's nice to see him get that confidence back, because sometimes last year you kind of felt like he lost it a little bit because he was struggling. So that's good to see.
Are you saying Ayuk or Fred?
Fred.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Same with Ayuk, but
yeah,
I'm saying Fred. Now let's talk about the defensive backfield. What is the thing we've said the past couple years that the 49ers struggled with on defense?
The corners.
The corners, but what? Doing what on the field?
Covering people that deep.
Covering people and creating turnovers.
Yeah.
The 49ers have struggled ever since Kyle Shanahan joined the team at creating turnovers. And so far they have like 11 interceptions in training camp, 1 week. And, it's a testament to, bringing the level of competition up in that room. Last year we had Drake Kirkpatrick and Josh Norman starting at corner a couple games. and now we have Charvarius Ward and Emmanuel Mosley starting at corner. And, Emmanuel Mosley to me is one of the most underrated corners in the NFL. Last year, he was out the first couple of games with an injury, I think, right?
I think so.
And then he came back, and he was playing as our number one corner, and he was strapping people. I remember he was covering Odell, strapping him, DK Metcalf strapping him. He'd get beat a couple times, but I believe he was a 6th round or maybe undrafted guy. And to be able to turn into what he has now, it's great. Yeah. And then you have Charvarius Ward, who, I don't know why the Chiefs let him walk, but he's probably one of the better coverage corners in the NFL. And with that duo, it brings the whole defense up, because it doesn't matter how good your pass rush is if they can throw the ball in the first 3 seconds. If your corners are that bad, which ours were last year at some points, it doesn't matter. You neutralize the D-line with quick passes. So how do you feel about the coverage, so far in training camp from what you've been hearing?
Yeah, I think it's great. That's it seems like the DBs have been the bright spot of the team. They said that Charvarius Ward has just been, they said one word to describe him is just sticky. You know what I mean? He's just sticking to dudes. They're not getting anything off of him. Ayuk, you saw that coverage that he had on Ayuk on that 50-yard bomb from Trey Lance. Ward was right there. Charvarius Ward was right there. So that's good coverage, but that's just the offensive player making a better play, which is going to happen every now and again. Same thing, safeties as well. They're playing lights out, supposedly. I know we'll probably jump into them after this. So, and we're also forgetting about Ambry Thomas, who came on extremely strong at the end of the year. But there was a report that Ambry Thomas is going through some growing pains, that the 49ers finally placed him in the fire, letting him work on press man, that he struggled on a deep rep against Malik Turner and held him on the play, but was really technically sound on a rep against Danny Gray. That was from Rohan Chakravarthi. Yesterday, or the day before, it looks like he bounced back and he had a soft coverage and got a pick. He ended up getting a pick off of Nate Sudfeld, so that's good to see that Ambry Thomas is still making some plays as a third corner, because you can never have too much depth, especially at that position. And then it's also by the Rohan guy reported that Diamador Lenore has been having a sneakily good camp. He was in coverage on Sudfeld's deep interception intended for Danny Gray and was step in step with the speedster, which is interesting because I don't know if you remember, I think it was against the Eagles. He got burnt against that one dude on like a streak or like a fly, just straight down the sideline, and he got toasted and gave up a touchdown or close to a touchdown.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's
he
interesting that
ran.
he's able to keep up with Danny Gray, who's supposedly is like one of the faster dudes.
He ran like a 4.6 or something. Remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, the supposedly Lenore has looked better than Ambry Thomas again. Because last offseason, the same thing had happened. Demo was starting at corner when the season rolled around. So it's good to see the progression from the young guys. There was a video that came out sometime this week of Emmanuel Mosley staying after practice to work with Ambry Thomas. So that's another good sign of the leadership on the team. You know, nobody's too prideful to help teach the young guys what to do, and that's always a great sign. So yeah, let's jump into the safeties. So obviously you have Jimmy Ward, the entrenched vet, always good, almost borderline great, just not a turnover guy, not a big like game changing player. But you knew we had him, and then you knew that our other safety was going to be a weakness or like an unknown. And you have Charvarius Moore, Georgia Odom, and Talanoa Hufanga. Now in camp, we've had some reports about two of the guys. Haven't really heard much about Odom so far, but go ahead and talk about what you've been hearing about the other two guys at camp.
Before I talk about them, I know you and Dad kind of covered the Madden ratings last year, and it's good to see that Jimmy Ward's finally getting some recognition, at least on Madden. He's an 87 overall, which is pretty good. He's 3 away from a 90. I think that's well-deserved. I think that's a good rating. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. But Talanoa Hufanga and Charvarius Moore, supposedly Charvarius Moore had 2 interceptions yesterday, which is great because we do sometimes play 3 safeties. I don't know if you remember last year. You would see Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tart, and then you'd see Talanoa Hufanga also kind of playing in the box. So if you can have 3 good safeties, that'd be solid because supposedly Hufanga is taking that next step. I always see that he's the first one out to the field before anybody else. He's always the first one out there. And then, like we said, this was the first time I heard about Charvarius this training camp was yesterday when he had the 2 picks, but that's encouraging. I'm sure that you have some more thoughts on the 2 of them.
Yeah, so it's nice to see Hufanga is the first one out there every day. The dude's dedicated. He wants to be great. And I think the biggest takeaway from training camp so far is seeing things in coverage. We're not seeing like, oh, Hufanga got a sack. Oh, Hufanga blew up a run play. We're seeing, oh, Hufanga he deflected a pass. Oh, Hufanga with tight coverage, Hufanga interception. Because if he's going to be playing and starting in our defensive backfield, he's going to be playing deep sometimes. The 49ers love to rotate. They'll have one guy playing high and one guy down low, and they'll rotate them. So you got to basically be a hybrid, strong and free safety in this defensive backfield. And so it's nice to see growth as a cover man because that's where he struggled last year. He could play in the box, but you want to see him be able to do the other stuff as well. And then with Charvarius Moore, it's just good to see him making plays because, when people, I believe he had an Achilles injury, if I remember correctly, people sometimes just can't come back from that. And Charvarius Moore was always a good cover man at safety. He just didn't get reps. So it's good to see him, recovering, coming back. And if one of the other guys hopefully doesn't get injured, but they go down or whatever, it's good to know that you might have somebody that could step in and fill in for them. So it's good to see him making some plays.
Then Tomarius Moore was a solid player that 2019 season, I know we always bring it up every time we talk about him, but he had that interception in the Super Bowl. So Charvarius Moore has always been a pretty good player. Just now we'll need to see if he can bounce back from this injury.
Yeah.
And like you said, I know you said we had 11 or 12, 13 picks so far this training camp. Last training camp, we had 11 or 12, 13 picks in the whole training camp. And we've amassed that in 1 week. So that's extremely encouraging because our defense lately hasn't been known for the turnovers, like you said. And if you win the turnover battle, more than likely you're going to win the game, especially with the Niners offense. So that's going to be big.
And they've been a top 10 defense without the turnovers. So just imagine you add those in, that defense goes to the next level. The team goes to the next level.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, training camp going good so far. We'll see when the pads come on. We haven't heard much from our running backs. We haven't heard much from our O-line. But I think those things will change once the pads come on. Let's see your guy Ty Davis-Price and my guy Trey Sherman, see if they could start making some waves when the pads come on.
How did I get aside Ty Davis-Price?
Because you hate Sherman.
Oh, no.
Let's so we'll see once these pads come on tomorrow, see if we start getting some highlights from them. But one thing I forgot to mention is everyone's been hyping up our guy Mason. What's his first name? Jordan Mason, running back.
Oh yeah, the guy from Georgia Tech.
Supposedly he's looked good so far. Let's see if he can sneak on and make the roster.
Interesting. Could be one of the traditional Niners running backs. It's a late round pick and ends up making a big splash, like Elijah Mitchell did the year before.
Every year, an undrafted guy sneaks on the roster, one or two of them. We'll see who it is this year.
Yep. You got anything else?
Nope. Just, I believe we got our first actual preseason action this week on Thursday. The Hall of Fame game, I believe it is the Raiders and the Jaguars. So NFL football is here. The season's right around the corner. 49ers going to be playing in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be fun. Let's pray for no injuries. It's always the worst thing in the preseason. But I'm looking forward to it. And I'm excited. That's all I got.
Same for me. Let's pray for health.
Yep.
The Niners, we've struggled with injuries in training camp before the season, so let's just pray for some health. Let everybody stay healthy. Don't push too hard. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you've been with us for the whole time, thanks for riding with us. We're still trying to get to 100 subscribers before the start of the actual regular season. I think we're at 65 right now. So we're 35 away?
Yep, we're inching there. We got like a month and a half.
I think we're going to do a little giveaway at 100 subscribers. I think my dad might paint a little something. He's a custom painter. Might do a little giveaway once we hit 100 subscribers. So stay tuned for that. Go check out our previous videos. We have some interviews with the 3-time Super Bowl champ Randy Cross, current 49er Jason Poe, and former 49er Terrell Brown. So go check those out. Great videos. Get a lot of good insight. Besides that, we'll see you guys next Sunday. And like we said, hopefully we could stay healthy until then. Peace.
Peace.
Send it back. Money.